This is FCT Brief, and we are live from our studio here in Nigeria's capital city of Abuja. In a bold move that could reshape Nigeria's energy landscape, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, has thrown his weight behind a total ban on fuel importation. He is also calling for full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act to support the country's journey towards energy self-sufficiency. Aliko Dangote says the time is now for Nigeria to halt the importation of refined petroleum products and fully embrace the Petroleum Industry Act. The Petroleum Industry Act, signed into law in 2021, was seen as a game changer aimed at overhauling the oil and gas sector. But 3 years on, implementation has been partial, and fuel importation continues to drain foreign reserves. Now the question is Dangote's call timely?
The Dangote refinery, located in Lagos, recently commenced production and is expected to meet 100% of Nigeria's refined product needs. The company believes that a firm policy backing the import ban will further stabilize the market and support industrial growth. As government deliberates on fuel policy reforms, Dangote's position may add pressure for faster implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, an action that could finally position Nigeria as a refining powerhouse in Africa. However, stakeholders say the ball is now in the court of government's court. Will Nigeria fully commit to Petroleum Industry Act and end its fuel import dependence? Time will definitely tell, but on the flip side, all marketers are pushing back. They are also warning against monopoly. And for more on this development, we have in the studio Ukadike Chinedu, and he is a National Publicity Secretary of IPMAN, and he's here with us in the studio. It's good to have you in our studio this morning, Mr. Ukadike.
Thank you very much.
And also joining us via Zoom is the former National President of the Trade Union Congress, Peter Esele. He joins us live via Zoom. It's also good to have you on the show, Mr. Esele. All right, let's start with you in the studio, Mr. Ukadike. Let's look at this clamor for the Nigeria First policy. And now with this calls for the ban of imported products, although some critics say that we are not yet at that position yet, we are not ready. Dangote is not enough, to service, the demands for Nigeria in terms of, the fear of that monopoly. But let's look at the bigger picture, the potential growth that this may mean for Nigeria and also investment opportunities. Is that not enough reason to consider these calls?
Well, I think the independent marketers, which I'm the spokesperson, we fear monopoly. The fear of monopoly is the beginning of wisdom. We have been battling with pricing for a very long period of time. Most of our marketers have lost so many millions of naira just because of the template of pricing is embedded in one particular institution, which was the NNPC formerly. Now it has now turned to Dangote. So where you don't have any choice of bargaining, no bargaining power, it means all your resources, all your future, all your investments is on the hands of one particular person. So the call by Aliko Dangote for the ban of petroleum products is wary for now because it is not yet ripe. We are still battling with prices regime for a very long period of time. For the past 6 months, or for the past 6 months, yes, let me use for the past 6 months, marketers have lost millions of naira. And now when you now talk about pricing, you also find out that even Aliko Dangote is not selling the cheapest. So if you say ban petroleum product importation, and today in the market, Aliko Dangote is selling his PMS at 820 naira. I'm speaking rudimentarily as a businessman, as an independent marketer. All our aims and objective and mission is to take these petroleum products to our retail outlets as cheap as possible so that we can have return on investment. It is only when these products are cheap in the pumps that somebody like me and you can be able to feed their tanks. You understand me? and you will see a high volume of turnover. That is what our banks look at before they now give us loan. Because most of us were embedded in borrowing money from all the banks. So if you said ban importation of petroleum products, how will you resolve, as I'm talking to you today, Andover, a depot in Lagos, Manji, a depot in Lagos, is selling premium motor spirits to we, the independent marketers, at 815 naira. While Dangote is selling at 820. 5 naira difference is much to an independent marketer. How will you reconcile that? It's not that you are even selling cheaper. They say the factors of demand and supply determines price. Dangote, in one of his media speeches, said, I don't have any business in retailing. I want marketers to come and pick these products. So how are we going to pick this product when it's higher in your depot?
Okay.
And now you are now saying that federal government should ban importation of petroleum products. We depart totally from such policy. I say it's erotic.
Okay, you say you're speaking as an independent marketer. Can we also look at it from the perspective of Nigerians? You rightly said that for some time you battled with the monopoly of NNPC.
Yes.
And now you're talking about the monopoly of Dangote. Now, what is the position of the law in all this, the Petroleum Industry Act? Because it is not what we want. What is the position of the law talking about when we have a local refinery? What should be the position? Should we do about
when we have a local refinery, that does not mean that the law encourages that there was no importation. Because I also believe...
What did the law say?
The law says liberalization of the market. The PIA bill said liberalization of the market. When you liberalize the market, you will open up the field of investment. You will also allow export and import. Dangote was given license to export. He was also given license to import. NNDPR, as of today, in line with the PIA bill, is giving import license to marketers who can be able to bring in petroleum products to also checkmate the pricing of Dangote. So if the pricing of Dangote is 900 naira, and somebody is bringing in this product at 850 naira, what would the law say about it? We are looking at how the economy will thrive. You also remember that this economy is better than petroleum products. Any slight increase in petroleum product increases everything we are doing. So even gives us pressure in our filling stations. So the law, in line with the PIB, is a liberalization of the market. You don't liberalize the market and also control the market at the same time. It's not possible. You will not liberalize the market and say, okay, we are going to control the market. It is only one person that will be giving us petroleum product at whatever his price. It is not liberalization of the market. This is chain. It's a chained market. It's a controlled market. And once it's a controlled market, it is out from the PIA bill. Because if actually the NNDPR interpreted the PIA bill and the PIA empowers them to give import license to people to import petroleum products in this country, you don't just want to use an executive order or policy statement to say, do not allow this people to import petroleum products. It is pricing that will stop petroleum products importation. Well, if your pricing is below what people are importing, nobody will import.
Mr. Ukadike, one of the very major issue that has been played up in this case is the fact that the importation of even substandard products, low quality products. Some of these importers are being accused of bringing in, substandard products for Nigerians to buy. We're seeing Nigerians' vehicle breaking down because of poor petrol. How does this now, isn't this a step in the right direction if we stop this importation, focus on locally refined products, and we assure of the quality that comes out of that? Because I believe that is one of the major selling points that Dangote is capitalizing on at the moment.
Well, this is dynamics of the market. Everybody has his way, either by propaganda, by infusion, by lobbying, and fake information. There's one even something I watch on WhatsApp. Somebody that brought generator and said this one is Dangote, this one or this. You understand me? Yeah. We have been in this business for a very long period of time. We have a standard regulatory authority, which is the NMDPR. whose function is to ensure the quantity and quality of petroleum products imported in this country. And I also want to tell you that these NNDPR people, they are creep of management. They are doing very, very well. I have never faulted them in any way. Maybe one or two little problems here and there, but I think they are the best top-notch in terms of institutions in Nigeria. I'm not praising them, but I have had encounter with them, and I have seen the kind of seasoned personality that are in that organization. Most of them that is calling that they should remove Farouk, they should remove. These are people with public and bad interests who the man doesn't want to cut corners with. The NNDPR is doing very, very well. And they don't care whose horse is God. So I trust that institution. And if business or responsibility is given to such institution, you should allow them work. Allow the NNDPR to work. They will make sure that both, even the one that is refined by Dangote, is tested and good for the Nigerian consumption.
Let's look at this other aspect. When we look at the pump where Nigerians buy fuel,
yes,
the price of fuel at those points seem cheaper than at other points. My question now is, are you saying that the imported fuel, the landing costs, and when it gets to the consumer, that your own will be cheaper than Dangote's own when it gets to the consumer?
Yeah.
Also factor in the pressure on foreign exchange that you've always complained about.
Yes.
Now your importation will encourage the use of this.
Yeah, these issues are in two ways. One is the pressure on the foreign exchange. One is, are we getting fuel from a local refinery at the best price?
What price are you getting from your importation, and what is the landing cost?
And I have told you today, by the market statistics I have here, Dangote is selling his own premium motor spirits, a local refinery, at 820 naira to with independent marketers. And some other imported marketers that are importing their petroleum product from different countries are selling 815 naira. 5 naira difference is very, very big in terms of this industry. What are we talking about it? We're supposed to be getting Dangote 800
sorry for
than those who are importing. That one will discourage importation.
Yeah, just for clarity, Dangote, you said, is selling to you at 820. Meanwhile, the one that comes in from abroad is 815.
Yes.
But why is it that at the fuel station, the other fuel prices is higher than the one sold by the other stations or owned, controlled by Dangote?
There's no stations being controlled by Dangote. Dangote does not have any station. He said he doesn't have any business in retailing. The retailing lies in our hands. It is based on your logistics because the market has been liberalized. When you buy your petroleum products from any depot, you add your cost. There is no petroleum equalization fund anymore. The subsidy has been removed. The pricing is in the hands of the marketers and those that have owned their filling stations. So when you buy your petroleum product, you add the cost of your transportation, you add the cost of wear and tear and other expenses, and be able to put your template and sell in your pumps. If you move around Suleja Road now, you will find out some people are selling 900, some people are selling the 910, some people are selling 905. So it is the competition of price that will make the commuter go into any filling station to buy petroleum products with ease. You are no longer being forced. This time, the time has gone. Now, and before, it's not the same thing. Before, NNPC filling stations, people gather around the NNPC like Jericho and wait for 3 days to be able to buy. But now, NNPC filling station, no, you can't see even 2 or 3 vehicles there. What you see there is keke. Other filling stations and other brands have taken over. That is the competition of the market. That is the deregulation. Allow the market forces determine price. You don't clone us.
You speaking about competition, the downstream sector, there's this accusation of unhealthy competition within that sector. Now, how do we prevent unfair competition? And how do we make sure that institutions like the NMDPR, puts all the right measures in place to ensure that there's, fairness in the system and, there's no condition of overpricing of the product?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, that is why we kicked against the ban on importation of petroleum products. That ban on importation of petroleum products will also leverage the NNDPR to continue to give import licenses to those who feel that whatever is the market price today, they can be able to get something cheaper into this country. And cheaper with also the best quality. That is why we have the NNDPR. We have never seen in this recent period, maybe in the past, when they imported ethanol and the rest of them, it is not the crop of men that we are managing the NNDPR as at that time. But now, we have never heard about substandard fuel. You cannot even determine, you cannot even, as I'm talking to you now, you cannot even differentiate when you buy Dangote fuel and when you buy imported product. I keep on wondering, why will you continue to import product when Dangote is refining? And Nigeria is giving Dangote crude in Naira. It shouldn't have caused that they should ban importation. He should reduce his prices. His prices will ban importation. That's what you should be talking about now. I should be very, very proud to say, yes, Dangote is selling 700. And we'll go and buy 700. And you, from 700, you buy 730 or 750. We, the independent marketer, we don't put too much margin. We want to sell. If you put too much margin, your neighbor will sell more than you. So we put little margin and continue to sell because our banks want this turnover. So the issue of policy of banning, the issue of policy of pricing, it lies in the hands of Dangote. He should ensure that he compares his prices with other African countries because he also exports. Now, let me also bring yours down. He complained that the federal government, that is where I have interest, and also want to speak about, that the federal government should look at product that is being loaded from his depot. It's more expensive than those ones loaded in other African countries. That is that's the nucleus of this matter. The charges at our ports, the federal government charges at our ports, for indigenous refineries, they are too much, even with the independent marketers. What an NDPR charges, sometimes you use over 2 to 3 million to just one license, one small license like this, just to renew it. It's bad. It discourages investment. When we're talking about investment, you must encourage local people. You must encourage local loading. Dangote is talking about encouraging local loading. That was why he mistakenly said ban importation. No, he doesn't say ban importation. When you load from Dangote, you pay more higher than when you load from Côte d'Ivoire or the other African countries. And that is what Dangote said. You pay MPA when you load from Dangote. When you go to your depot to go and discharge, you pay another MPA. That is stepping, what I say, stepping in one place 2 times. Federal government should look at all those kind of what we call herodic laws and herodic charges and reduce them to encourage free trade in this country. We're no longer talking about exporting products, smuggling of products, because I think our customs and the operation, when they are doing a very good job this time around. So we're talking about, nobody have talked about scarcity. So we have sufficient. All right. So let's look at those levies that marketers encounter in loading products from Dangote. They are very exorbitant. That's what the federal government should look at. And that is what the president should invite NNDPR, invite MPA, invite NEMASA. All those monies they take in dollars. You are talking about putting strength, putting pressure on dollar. Why will you pay NEMASA in dollar? Why will you pay all these things, anything you do around importing petroleum product? Because if you are in Nigeria, you will be seen as importing that product from Dangote to your own coastal area. Do you understand me? So concession should be given to those who are taking product from Dangote in his stand farm. Let's bring in Mr. Esele. He's standing by. Mr. Esele, this is not the first time this matter has raised issues about potential violation of trade laws and its potential in violating international trade laws and agreement and leading to, diplomatic and economic pressure and repercussions. What is your own, in your own perspective, how do you now judge this matter? Should we be considering a ban on the importation of petrol, or should we just, rely on the Nigeria First policy?
I think we should go ahead with a ban. Now, the first thing, if you are talking about Nigerian first policy means encouraging indigenous companies, all Nigerian companies, to compete. So it's only what Nigerian companies cannot provide or does not have capacity for that we import. And what are the benefits of this? Less pressure on your FX, and you also get more FX. Now, I've had a lot of comments about Dangote monopoly or not, but I'll try to use an analogy. I'll try to be as brief as I can. The analogy is written by a book I read, written by Harold Clem. And the analogy was the giant utterances of heaven and hell. So someone died, he went to heaven, and he saw all the gold, everything very good in heaven. So he asked, can I go to hell too and see what's happening there? So he got to hell and found out that they were the same thing. There was no difference. So he now looked at the people in hell and found out that they were emaciating, that is, they were looking so hungry. But the people in heaven were looking so good. And what was the difference? To feed yourself in heaven, they had a giant utensils that is 6 inches long. And it's difficult for you to take that 6 inches and put in your mouth. So the people in heaven were feeding themselves. While the people in hell, who had the same facility as those in heaven, were struggling to feed each other instead of feeding themselves. And that's the problem that Nigeria, NNPC, and independent marketers are facing. Dangote took advantage by providing service. And in providing service for every one of us, we don't have queues anymore, and he's making revenue for himself. So ability for you to be of service is what the Nigerian people are looking for. And what NNPC and the marketers have done over the years is that because of their self-aggrandizement, right now, the feed is open, they are struggling to survive. And they are complaining. But when they were feeding themselves and they were okay with it, nobody was complaining about monopoly. NNPC was a monopoly. NNPC was the only one importing petroleum product. NNPC has a refinery. NNPC has a downstream sector. So what did NNPC do with all of that? Now the Senate is asking NNPC to account for 210 trillion naira. So, but when all this was going on, were you hearing complaints from the marketers? No. But now suddenly Dangote comes up and he wants to make things easier. I had the independent marketers representative in the studio talked about various charges. That can also be looked at. Government can come and look at all those charges and take it up. And I also heard him talk about how expensive Dangote products are. Now, let me ask a question. When importation, since importation has not been banned yet, but have you gone to any of the independent marketers' retail outlet, and you go to a retail outlet that Dangote supplies, and the independent marketers' retail outlet is cheaper than Dangote? None. It has never happened. So what these marketers need to do, they also need to help the country and also help themselves. Have a meeting with Dangote, raise all your concerns. NFDRO should also be there. And then let's clear this thing. It's in the best interest of this country for Dangote refinery to survive. And then we're talking about competition. Who is afraid of competition? BUA is coming on stream. NNPC, because NNPC have been a spoiled child over the years. How do you spend $15 billion doing turnaround maintenance for over 20 years? And your refinery is not working. And you are coming here to complain about somebody is practicing monopoly, when in actual sense, you had a monopoly that undermined this country and had also ruined the fiscal aspect of.
Wow. Yeah, here's just raised some things you want to react to some of the things you raised. Okay.
For me, as a marketer, my concern is cheaper pricing. If Dangote I don't know the word they want to use, either monopoly. Let him monopolize the market with cheaper pricing. Let him monopolize the market with cheaper pricing.
Okay, sorry, just hold your thoughts there. Mr. Peter Esele, are you still there? Let's have you. Comrade Esele?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, now if you are talking about monopoly, can you hear me? If you are talking about monopoly, whose monopoly? It's the responsibility of the government to check monopoly. If marketers have issues, there are regulatory authorities to deal with it. So the marketers can take it to the regulatory authorities to deal with that. This country has been bleeding for too long due to inefficiency and opaque practices by the NNPC,
well,
supported by the independent marketers. We need to call a spade a spade.
Do you feel that Nigeria is ripe enough?
Yes, I can hear you.
Do you feel Nigeria is ripe enough to encourage this investment and encourage these importers to look inward? Because if the product is readily available at a cheaper price, I believe everybody in this discussion is after a cheaper price. What can the government do to also encourage investment, to encourage other people to also establish refineries that could also support its efforts and, you know, make this Nigeria first policy a reality and not something to debate about?
Now, the first thing government can do is, there was something he said, which I heard from the studio, which is double taxation, which is double payments that emanate from loading. That one is something that it's so archaic and is annoying. I'm not just saying it because it's saying it. I also know that in NNPC loading bay, these things also do happen. So government need to go ahead and check that. Take away all of those overhead. Just like the tax law, where you are going to be paying 4% import duty. There is no extra. So what government should do is just have a percentage. This is what you must pay. That's one. Number two, the field is already leveled. There is an opportunity for investors to come in. That's why you have BOA. BOA is also building a refinery. There are also a lot of modular refineries coming up. What I expect independent marketers to do is to see how they can find their feet. If they feel threatened, they can take those threats to the regulators. We can't be doing the same thing over and over again and expecting same result. I had rather it is better for us to do something new, make mistake and learn from it, instead of staying in the past and doing something crazy that is not taking us anywhere and just feeding few pockets. No, it's not in Nigerians' interest to be making the same mistake again and again. We need to make new mistake, and that equals growth.
It's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much, Peter Esele, for your contributions on the program. Also, Mr. Ukadike Humphrey, it's a pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thank you for bringing enlightenment to this topic, very timely topic.
Thank you.